Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Among in Cloud. In this video, we are going to see how to deploy a clone of Starbucks with DevSecOps approach. So basically DevSecOps means with the development process, with the security process and the operations. So everything will be covered in this particular video. So I'm not going to edit anything here. So if I encounter any errors, you will also see them and I'll also troubleshoot them in the same video. All right, so for this, this is the stages, the deployment stages that we are going to use. Basically, I'm using Jenkins, Docker Scout, Trivy, and SonarQube for this particular project. As you can see, the deployment stages are like this. First, we are going to check out from the GitHub and we are going to analyze the code using SonarQube. It will check for the vulnerabilities and all those things. Then we have the stage called quality gate. So it will also help in scanning the repository and to check if there are any security issues. After that, we are going to use Trivy to scan the file and let us know if there are any issues. And then we are going to build the image out of the application that we have. We have the Docker image built, and then we will push that Docker image to our Docker repository. And we will also check for the image if there are any issues, vulnerabilities found using Docker Scout. And then we are going to deploy a container out of the image that we built. So this is all the things that we are going to do in this particular video. And if you're thinking what are the steps that we are going to follow, here is the steps. And we will walk you through one step by step. And the project repository, you can find it here. Let me go to Starbucks repository. You can see the source code here. All credits to the developer of this particular application. I'm not the developer. I'm just going to show you how to deploy this application. So don't forget to read the README file as well, because I've documented all the things, installations, all the Jenkins file, everything will be there in the readme.file. So do not forget to check out this repository. I'll make sure to provide the link to this in the description box below. So the prerequisites are you need to have your own Docker repository and AWS account. So basically we are going to deploy this on an EC2 instance and the container will be launched on the EC2 instance. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So I've logged into my AWS account. This is how it looks, and I need to create an EC2 instance. So to do that, I'll go to EC2 and I'll go and click on launch instance. So basically I'm going to name this as Starbucks. Okay. And I'm going to use Ubuntu because that's the version that I'm going to use today. And you can use any other EC2 instance depending on your use cases, but I'm interested in using Ubuntu as it is open source. And instance type, I'm going to use a larger one because we are going to install a lot of applications here, so we need more space and we need little memory. So I'm going to use t2.xlarge, so that should be fine. And if you're doing this particular project on t2.micro or on free tier, please use the higher version of free tier instance type that's available so that you can install all the applications that you want. And key pair, if you do not have a key pair, click on create new and give the name and install it. But I already have a key pair created, so I'm going to use the same. And networking settings, I'm going to create this in the default VPC. So I'm leaving it as is without making any changes. But I'm going to use an existing security group. So I'll select the Linux security group. I'll show you how the Linux security group looks like. So hold on for that. And everything else I'm leaving it as default. And here the storage, it is by default giving you 8 GB, but I'm going to change this to 30. If you're doing it in free tier, make sure to use 30 GB because you will get up to free of 30 GB of EBS general purpose SSD or magnetic storage. So once you have this, go ahead and launch the instance. Okay, it will take a couple of minutes to launch. So meanwhile, I'll show you what are the security group configurations that you need. Okay, so let's go ahead and select this one. And if you see here, ignore the second one because I tried and tested it last night. So you are seeing this here, but it will go away soon. Only concentrate on the pending or the running instance. So I'll go to security, and if you see my security group, so basically I've pretty much allowed all the ports, but you only need port 22, port 8080, port 9000 and port 3000, because the application that we are deploying is a Node.js application or the React.js application, so it will be running on port 3000. Okay, so that is one thing. Port 8080 is required because Jenkins runs on port 8080, and your SonarQube runs on port 9000, so 9000 is required. But in my case, I've allowed all the ports, but if you want to fine grain it in your production, then go for 3000, 9000 and port 8080 along with port 22, because you need to log into the instance. Okay, so outbound rules, I've allowed all the things by default, so that should be good, and this is pretty much everything that you need to do. Let's go ahead and now see if the instance is running. As you can see, the instance is running state. So what I'll do, I'll just click on connect, and I'll go to SSH client, and I'll get the EC2 connect method here. So if you are logging in for the first time, so make sure to change the permission of the file. So if you do not know what happens when you without running this one, you will get a permission denied error. Basically, your key pair name, key pair that you download should have proper permissions. So use chmod 400 and your key name, that will resolve your issues. And now let's go ahead and SSH into this machine. So I'll copy this one. I'll go and open my terminal. I'll clear the screen. As you can see in my downloads folder, I have the key pair here. So what I need to do, I need to log in the same folder, because that's where my key file exists. So if you want to check, I'll just run ls-lrt, and if you can see here, yet another key is present here. So I need to paste this command here. So let me paste it and hit run. So let's say yes. Okay, I'll hit enter. And as soon as you hit enter, you will be logged into your EC2 instance. So that should be good. Let me clear the screen for you. Okay. So here I'll log in as a root user. So I'll mention sudo su hyphen. So let me zoom in a bit again so that it will be clear for you. Okay. Now let's go ahead and install all the dependencies that are required. So what are the dependencies? Go back to my repository and you will find a readme file here. So I've given you everything that you need to install. If you do not know, if you're wondering, you can also go to this file. I've provided the link to this in the same repository as well. So first let's go ahead and install AWS CLI. Okay, so copy this one and go to your terminal, paste this and hit enter, and it should download all the things. But remember one thing, so the installations that I'm giving you today might not work in future. So always make sure to check the official documentation. For example, for AWS CLI, go to AWS CLI install. Okay, so this will give you more latest one, or if there is any update to the installation guide, so it will provide you here. Okay, so based on your machine, if it is a Linux one, select Linux. If it's a Mac, select Mac. Or if it's Windows, select Windows. Okay, so make sure to check this out clearly. So follow the same procedure for all the installations guide that I've given. First we need to install AWS CLI. Once that is done, we'll go ahead and install Jenkins. Okay, so let's see if the installation is complete or not. So if you can see, it's installed now. Let me clear the screen for you. Okay, so now let's go back to the repository. We need to install Jenkins. So to install Jenkins, first we need to install JDK. So that's what I'm doing here. If you see here, first I'm updating the repository, then I'm installing Tamarind JDK-y, then I'm going to install all the things that are required to run the Jenkins. So you just have to copy this one, go to your terminal, paste this and hit enter. So this will install all the dependencies that are required for running Jenkins. So let's wait for that to complete. So if you can see, it's running all the things, it is downloading all the packages, and it will complete once the installation of Jenkins is complete. So let's wait for that. Okay, all right. If you see here, the Jenkins application is up and running since 2 seconds. Okay, so that should be good. I'll just see Control C and let me clear the screen for you. So what we have completed so far, we have installed AWS CLI and also Jenkins on Ubuntu. Now let's go ahead and install Docker on Ubuntu. So if you're wondering how to do it, I've given the command here, but if you do not want to follow this, go ahead and follow the official Docker installation documentation. So I'll copy this one, I'll go back to my terminal, I'll paste this and hit enter. So this will ask you for do you want to continue or not. Just enter Y and hit enter, and this will process all the things and it will install Docker for you. So let's wait until that is complete. Okay, so if you can see here, installations and everything is complete now. So let me clear the screen again. Okay, so if you want to check, what you can do is, so you can just type in AWS version. So that should be your AWS version, and then you can type in Jenkins version. It will show you the Jenkins version. Then you can type in Docker version. So we have Docker version installed. Okay, now let's go ahead and install Trivy on Ubuntu. If you want to follow the official documentation, I've given the repository URL here. Make sure to follow that. I've taken the code from there itself, so need not to worry. So let me copy this, go to your terminal, paste everything, and it will go ahead and install Trivy for you. So let me hit enter, and you can see the Trivy is getting installed now. Okay, so let's wait for it to complete. Okay, so that is also done. So along with that, so what I will say is Trivy version. So if you can see, this is the version of Trivy that is installed. So that is good. Next, let's go ahead and install Docker Scout. So to install Docker Scout, you need to first log into your Docker repository. So for that, you can give docker login -u and your username of the Docker Hub. So my username is AmonkinCloud, so I'll provide that. Then it will ask you for the password. Enter the password. Make sure to provide the right password or else it will not work, and it should be confidential. Okay, once you provide the password, it will say login succeeded. If not, it will throw an error here itself. Okay, so that should be good. Next, you need to copy this one to install the Docker Scout. So I'll paste that here. So it will go ahead and install the Docker Scout. So that is also installed, if you can see here. Okay, so now you need to do one more thing, that is to update the configurations or update the permission on the Docker Scout. So this is really important. So chmod 777/var/run docker.sock. So I'll copy this one. I believe that it is ran on when we were installing the Docker itself, but let's do it again so that we won't miss out on this. So that is done actually. Okay, now we have installed all the things that are required in order to deploy this particular project. Okay, so let me show you this in my repository, Docker repository once. If you can see here, I only have one image. So this is my username. Okay, I've logged into this Docker Hub. So now what we will do is, so let's go ahead and get the public IP of the EC2 instance. As I told you, the Jenkins application will run on port 8080. So you need to provide the port number at the end. So let me paste that IP again and provide 8080 and hit enter. So you should be seeing Jenkins sign in button here. Okay, you need to log into Jenkins. To unlock Jenkins, what you need to do, you need to provide the initial password. Where will you get the initial password? It will be here. So copy this path, go to your terminal. So just say cat and provide the path, hit enter. You will get the password. Copy this one, go to your Jenkins, paste this administrator password and click on continue. Okay, I'll never save this one. So let's go ahead and install suggested plugins for now. Okay, so let's wait for that to complete. So if you can see here, it is going to install all these dependencies or installer. So let's wait for that to complete. Okay, so now we need to provide the username. I'll say AMC, short for AmonkinCloud. So I'll give the password, a new password that I want. So let me redo it. So make sure to remember this password, because every time you sign out of Jenkins, you need this one to complete. So let me give AmonkinCloud and AmonkinCloud@gmail.com. Okay, so let me save this now. And this is the Jenkins URL, guys. So I'll provide this one, and I'll start using Jenkins. So let's wait for that to complete. As you can see here, this is our Jenkins dashboard, and you can see the username, that is Monkin Cloud, and the user ID is AMC. Okay, so this should be good. So we also need to run the SonarQube container. If you can see here in the steps, the first step, creating an EC2 instance, this is done. Installing the packages, the step 2 is also done. We need to deploy the SonarQube container. So what we need to do, let's go to the EC2 instance. Let me clear the screen for you. So we need to deploy the SonarQube container. If you want to use the container, go ahead and use it. But if you want to use SonarQube installer itself, go ahead and use that also. There is no issues. So first, to install that or to run the SonarQube, what you can do is docker run -d in the detached mode. Okay, we are going to name this as sonar. Okay, so let me give sonar, and the port number, as I already mentioned in the beginning of the video, it should be 9000. The container port is 9000, and also the EC2 port is also 9000. So I'm gonna get the image name. So it is SonarQube colon LTS community. So this is the name of the SonarQube. Okay, this is the name of the SonarQube image. So I'm gonna provide that, and I'll hit enter. If you can see, as the image of SonarQube was not there, it is going to install that from the SonarQube official repository, and it will start running the SonarQube. So let's wait for that to complete. So now if you can see, I'll just run docker ps. It will show you all the containers that are running. If you can see here, this is the exact same docker container ID, and this is the image name that we provided, and this is the command that's running, and it created 10 seconds ago, and the status is up and running. So what we need to do, let's go and get the EC2 instance ID or the public IP, then provide 9000 at the end and hit enter. The SonarQube login page will open. So if you see here, SonarQube is starting. If the container has some issue, then it will not log in. So let's wait for that to complete. As you can see, the SonarQube is starting. Okay, while it is starting, let's go to Jenkins and install some of the packages or the dependencies that are required. So what we need to do, let's go to manage Jenkins. Under manage Jenkins, let's go to plugins. Here we need to install some of the available plugins that are already there. So let's go to available plugins. First, we need to go with Eclipse Tamarind installer for JDK. So I'll search for Eclipse. Okay, ECLI. Okay, so this is the one. If you can see, Eclipse Tamarind installer for JDK. So I'll select that one. Next, we also need to install SonarQube. So for that, I'll go ahead and type SonarQube, and you need to select SonarQube scanner. So that should be fine. Next, we need to install Node.js. So type Node.js, and you should be seeing Node.js, select that. And we need to install Docker. So type for Docker, select Docker Commons, Docker Pipeline, Docker API, Docker itself, Docker build step. So until Docker build step, you need to install. So that should be fine. I'll clear Docker now. So next we need to install OWASP. Sorry, yeah, that is correct. So let me hit search for that, and if you see here, the dependencies check for that is already available. This is the plugin that you can independently execute to check the dependencies and analyze and visualize the results in the SonarQube. So we will use that one. Then we will also need email extension, so template that is required in order for you to send the emails. For example, whenever the pipeline succeeds, you will get a notification on your email. If the pipeline fails, you will also get a notification saying the build has failed, it's so and so stage, go ahead and check the logs. So that should be fine. Next, we need Blue Ocean to visualize it in a beautiful way. So let me search for Blue Ocean, and you will see this one. Let's install that. And we also need pipeline stage view. So I'll just type for stage and you will see pipeline stage view. Let's select that one. And this, I think pretty much we have covered everything. I'll give you again. So we are installing Eclipse Terminal installer, SonarQube scanner, Node.js, Docker Commons, Docker pipeline, Docker API, Docker build step, AWS dependency check, email extension template, Blue Ocean, and pipeline stage view. So these are all the dependencies that we need. Let's go ahead and click on install. Once the installation is complete, we need to restart the Jenkins. Let's wait for all the pending ones to succeed. As you can see, everything is complete now. So let's click on restart Jenkins whenever required. So the Jenkins is restarting. Now let's go to SonarQube. So here, if you see, it is asking for login username and password. By default, the username will be admin and the password will be admin also if you are logging for the first time. Let's go ahead and log in now. Okay, now you need to replace the old password with the new one. So the old password will be admin and you can provide a new password for this. So I'll keep it, I'll provide a password for this one and I'll update it. So once that is done, your SonarQube will be installed. Okay, so you will be able to log into the SonarQube. Now I need to log into the Jenkins again, as I told you, because use the same username and password because it will not work if you do not provide it. Okay, so I'll provide my username and password. Okay, so I think it's AMC and okay, let's try this. Yeah. As you can see, we are back again with the Jenkins portal. So we have installed everything that is required now. So we need to configure Jenkins and SonarQube. So Jenkins should be able to speak with the SonarQube and the reverse should also be configured. Basically, SonarQube and Jenkins should be able to speak to each other. So how do we do that? So firstly, let's go to SonarQube and here go to administrator. So here in the security, go ahead and select users. And if you see here, we have logged in as an admin now. So first, let's click on this tree and we will get the token. So I'll say Jenkins and let it be for 30 days. If you want to increase, that should also be fine. So I'll go ahead and give 30 days because I'm going to delete it later. So I'll generate it. So you will get a password basically. So I'll copy this one. I'll go to Jenkins. Here in the manage Jenkins, let's go all the way down to credentials. So click on global and let's go ahead and add credential. So here I'll select secret text because this is a text that we have copied. Okay. So now we need to provide the password here. So let me copy that again. So I'll paste this. Okay. Now here I'll provide a name as sonar-token. So I'll just copy the same thing and add it in the description as well. So let me go ahead and create it. Okay, so this is done. So the credential has been added. Now we need to provide the credential for the Docker Hub also. Why? As I told you, I need to build an image and that image should be pushed to the Docker Hub repository. For that to happen, I need to provide the username and password for my Docker Hub. So what I'll do, I'll just click on add credentials again. But this time it will be username with password because I'm going to use username and password. Okay. So now I'll say the username would be your email address. So I'll say amonkincloud@gmail.com. So let me verify that. amonkincloud@gmail.com. Okay. So that should be fine. Let me enter the password. Okay, so that is good. So the password is good. Now what I'll say is Docker. So for me to understand. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and create it. As you can see, this is my Docker credentials. So it is with username and password. Okay, so there is one more step that we need to do. So let's go to Jenkins here. Sorry, the SonarQube. Let's click on done. Okay, now let me go to configuration. Let's go to webhooks. Here, if you see here, we do not have a webhook created. So let's go ahead and create it. So we will say Jenkins because we need this webhook to work with Jenkins. So I'll make that. So here I need to provide the URL of the Jenkins. So let me go to Jenkins dashboard. Let me copy till 8080 port number. Okay, so let me come back here, and if you see here, this is a webhook, and here I'm pasting it till 8080, and here we need to type one more thing, so that is going to be SonarQube, okay, hyphen webhook slash. Okay, so first we need to copy the URL of the Jenkins, and then we need to add SonarQube hyphen webhook, else it will not work. Okay, so let me go ahead and create it. Once that is done, if you see here, it will pop up here. Okay, so now this is the we have configured the Jenkins part in the SonarQube, but we also need to do the same in the Jenkins also. Let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, let's go to manage Jenkins here, and here we need to go to tools. Here we need to configure the JDK, SonarQube, Node.js, all the things we need to do here. So let's do that one by one. First, let's go ahead and install the JDK. So I'll click on add JDK. Here I will just say JDK 17. Okay, and here let's click on install automatically, but here in the installer, let's click on install from adpm.net. So here I will select 17.0.8.1 plus 1. So let's search for that. So here it is. Where is it? 17.0. 17. Yeah, here it is. JDK 17.0.8.1 plus 1. So this is the particular version that I need. So I'll select that one. So next we'll go ahead and install the SonarQube installations. So let's go ahead and add SonarQube scanner. So we will say sonar hyphen scanner, and let's install it. Let's go with the default one, whichever it is providing. So this should be fine. And then we will see Node.js. We need to install particular version of Node.js. Let's click on that. So let me say Node 16. Okay, so here I will go ahead and install a particular version, which is going to be 16.20.0. so let's search for that. Yeah, this is the one, so I'll leave that as default. And we also need to install dependency check. So I'll say df check. Here I'll go ahead and install from GitHub. So I'll just say install from GitHub, and I'll go with the latest version. That should be fine. And we'll also install Docker. So I'll give that as a name as Docker, and I'll select install automatically from docker.com. Okay, and we are installing the latest version. So let's revise once again. So first I'll just click on apply just to make sure everything is saved. So let's come all the way from the beginning. First we are installing JDK. Okay, so I'm naming that as JDK 17, and the version is this one. So make a note of that. And then we are installing SonarQube. I'm naming that as Sonar Scanner, and I'm installing the 6.1.0. that is the latest version. Okay, so that is fine. Next we are installing Node.js. So I'm naming that as Node 16, and we are installing a particular version that is 16.20.0. so that should be fine. Then we are installing dependency check. So the name is dp-check, and then I'm installing the latest version. And here I'm installing Docker. So the Docker name I'm giving is Docker itself, and I'm installing the latest one. Okay, so once you have all these things, go ahead and save this one. Okay, so now what we have done, we have installed the plugins, we have installed the dependencies that are required. So there is one more thing that we need to configure. Let's go to system. Okay, in the Jenkins dashboard, let's go to system, and here we need to configure a few things. So let's see what are them. So everything else looks good. Here if you see, we need to provide the Sonar installations. So let's click on add SonarQube here, because that's where we need to provide the details, right? So we will say sonar hyphen server. Okay, we need to provide the SonarQube URL. So where to get that? Let's go to SonarQube. Let's copy till the 9000, the port number 9000. Okay, let's remove the slash at the end, and here the authentication token, if you remember, we created a secret in the Jenkins credential. So if you click on this, you will see Sonar token. Let's select that one. So once you have that, so click on apply, and then go ahead and save it. Okay, so this is one thing that you need to configure. And one more thing that we need to do is we need to configure or create an app password for your Gmail account. Why? As I told you, whenever the build succeeds or whenever the build fails, you should get an email notification. In order for that to work, what you need to do, you need to create a application password. So where to find that? Let's go to our Gmail. So this is my Gmail. This is what I'm going to use. So I'll select here, and here I will select for app password. So if you search for that, you will see app password. So click on that and select that one. So you need to provide the login credential or the password. So let me enter the password here. So I'm entering the password. Once you enter the password, you will see an interface just like this. Let me remove the old one. And if you see, you need to provide the app name. So whatever the application that you are going to create, you need to provide that. So let me type in Jenkins here. So let me create it. Once you create this, this is the password. Copy this one. So paste it somewhere, wherever you want to place this one. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and store it in a new file. So let me paste it here. So I'll remove the extra spaces between. So this should be fine. Okay, so this should be fine. You need to make sure that you're not copying the extra spaces, so that should be fine. So once you're back, you will receive an email as well. Okay, so let's go to the Jenkins. Okay, so I'll go to manage Jenkins again, and here I'll go to system, and in system before going to system, let's add this as a secret. So as you go to manage Jenkins, then go to credentials, then click on global, and then click on add credentials. Here also we will go with username and password. Username will be your email address. Okay, so enter your email address with carefully, and then you need to provide the same password that you copied. So I'll just say mail-cred. Okay, so let me copy the same and add it in the description as well. So once you're done, click on create. So we have three secrets. One is SonarQube token, the Docker Hub username and password, and mail credential, username and app password. Not the actual password, it is just going to be your application password. Once you have done that, let's go to manage Jenkins again, and here let's go to system, and here in system search for email. Okay, so we need to here it is. Here, if you see here extended email notification, we need to provide the details here. In the SMTP server, we are going to use smtps.gmail.com. Okay, so we are going to use SMTP server from Google, that is gmail.com. The port it operates is on 465. And click on advanced. Here we will select the credentials. So as I told you, this is the credential. We need to select the credential mail cred, and you will use the SSL, and you will also use OAuth 2.0. And once you scroll all the way down, so there is one more thing that you need to configure here, email notification. Provide the same thing here, smtp.gmail.com. Once you have that, click on advanced. Use SMTP authentication. Here you need to provide the name here, username, that is going to be amonkincloud@gmail.com. So provide that, and the password, whichever you copied. So make sure to copy that without any extra spaces, paste it, and we are going to use SSL, and the port is 465 as I told you. So 465, and we need to test the configuration. So we will provide our email address, amonkincloud@gmail.com. Once you have that, let's go ahead and test the configuration. Okay, so it says okay, here I made a mistake. amonkincloud@gmail.com. Let's test this again. Okay, so if you see here, email was sent successfully. Make sure to provide the right email address, else it will fail. If you see here in your Gmail, you will also get the notification. Okay, so once you have that, so let's go here and click on apply. And then before saving, we need to do change the default triggers here. So expand this default triggers, and you need to select always and also success. So basically it will send you an email notification always if the build is aborted, or if it's a failure, if it's a success. Every time you will receive a email notification. So once you have this, click on apply again, and then go ahead and save it. Okay, so this is all the things that you need to do in order for your application or the deployment to work. So I make sure to provide all the details in the GitHub repository, so make sure to check that out. But if you are still watching the video, and if you feel that this project is interesting, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Okay, now let's go ahead and see the repository itself. So if you see here, this is where the source files are present, and this is the package.json and package.json. And here we also have the Docker file. Let's see the Docker file first. I'll go inside this. If you see here, I'm going to use Node Alpine image. That is the base image that I'm going to use. And I'm creating and setting the working directory inside the container that is going to be /app. And once that is done, I'm going to copy package.json, package-log.json into application folder. Once that is done, I'm installing the npm dependencies by running npm install. And after that, we are copying the entire code base to the working directory that is going to be your app/. And once that is done, we are exposing the application on port 3000. So make sure to expose 3000 or any other port that is not being used. Once that is done, we are running the application. So basically we are going to start the application by running npm start. So that is why I'm using command and npm start. If this is clear, let's go ahead and explore the Jenkins pipeline script that I've already developed. But if you do not know how to create, I will also show you how to do that. So first, let's go to Jenkins, and here I'll click on new item, and here let me name this as Starbucks. Okay, and we need to select pipeline here. I'll select pipeline and click on OK. And here we need to provide the script. The Jenkins script that we need to do, we need to use that we are going to provide here. But if you find it difficult to write the script on yourself, make sure to use the pipeline syntax. Basically, if you want to check out a repository or whatever the things that you are doing, right, everything you can use this one, and you can get the syntax for it. For example, let's say you are checking out from the version control. You are going to provide a URL, right? So let me go here, copy the URL. Let me go and paste this one, and we are going to as this is a public repository, we do not need a credential, so I'm setting as this one. And then here I'll change the repository branches to be main, and then if you click on generate pipeline script, right, you will get this and you will just have to copy and paste this one, right? So this is what you have to do. And as I explained, there are different stages that we have. Everything is provided in the Jenkins script, so you can just use this script whenever you require. Okay, let me go to the script here, pipeline script. Let me explain one by one so that it will be easy for you. So if you see here, pipeline, we are starting the pipeline, agent any. As I told you, we need some tools that are dependent here. One is JDK, we are using 17, and we are going to use Node.js, which is Node 16. And we are setting the environmental scanner, that is scanner home is equal to tool, and the tool name is Sonar Scanner. That is what we provided in the Jenkins manage Jenkins section. Once these are being set, we have different stages. One, we will see the stages one by one. The first step is to clean the workspace. So this is the very first stage in all the Jenkins pipelines that you create. Immediately once the build is start, the clean repository will go ahead and clean the repository, and then we are going to check out from the GitHub branch. If you, as I told you, if you do not know, go ahead and use the pipeline syntax in order for you to help. Okay, so that is the first step. We are going to check it out from the GitHub repository, and if you see here the step git branch, the main, it is having the main branch, and the URL I'm giving the same URL that I've used. And next we are going to analyze it with the help of SonarQube. So that is why we are going to use SonarQube analysis. If you want, you can use the same GitHub syntax here. Search for Sonar. Okay, you will find Sonar somewhere here, and if you want, you can use the same pipeline syntax and get the code for it. So if you see here, this is the step we need to follow in order for the SonarQube to work. If you see here, the name of the SonarQube was Sonar Scanner. So and the name of the project was Starbucks. So I'm going to use that one, and this is the default syntax that I'm using. And once this is done, we are using the gateway, quality gateway check, and this is also being provided. And if you see here credential, we are using it as a Sonar token, which we created in the global credential section of the Jenkins. Once that is done, we are going to use npm install. Basically, we need to use sh command here, and we are just giving npm install. Once that is done, we are going to use we are going to scan the files. So that's why we are going to use OWASP fs scan, and this is the command to check or scan the things. So if you see here, this is where what we need to provide. Again, if you want to use, you can use the pipeline syntax. Then, as we already discussed, the next step is to scan the files using Trivy. So that's what we are doing here. In this stage, we are going to use Trivy file scan, and we are going to convert that all the file results of the Trivy scan will be stored into trivy.txt. Once the trivy.txt file is created, we are going to build the image. So using docker build -t and Starbucks in the same working directory. Once this is done, when the image is built, we are going to push that. We are going to first tag and then push it to the Docker Hub. As you can see here, so the Docker tag Starbucks, where we are pushing a Monkin Cloud Starbucks latest, and we are going to push it to the same repository. Once that is done, we are going to scout for the image. So if there is any security or vulnerabilities, we will use this one, and we will check all the common vulnerabilities, and then if there is any recommendation, it will be shown. Okay, so we are using Docker Scout. We also installed Docker Scout already, and the credential ID we are getting it from the Docker, and the tool name is Docker itself. Okay, so this is what we have used here. These are the three commands in order for the Docker Scout to work: Docker Scout Quick View, Docker Scout CVES, Docker Scout recommendations. Once all of this is done, we are going to deploy it to the container. So we are going to create a container by running docker run -d, and the name of the container is Starbucks, and it is going to work on port 3000, and the image that it is going to use is the one that we just pushed to the Docker Hub. Hope this is clear. Once all of this is complete, it is going to send an email notification to your email address that you provide here. Okay, so what it will have, it will provide what is the project name that you are using and what is the build number, and the cool thing is it will also going to attach the Trivy file scan and the build logs into your email address. So we will see that in action. So for that, what we need to do, so I hope the pipeline script is understood for you. So let me copy this. Let's go to the Jenkins. Let me paste this one, and here I will provide my email address. That is going to be amonkincloud@gmail.com. So make sure to provide it right, because if you miss it, it won't work. So amonkincloud@gmail.com, everything looks good. All the things are in place. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on apply and then save it. Once you save it, what you need to do is you need to just click on build now. So let's wait until the build is started. If you see here, the build is started. Let's go ahead and check the build logs. Okay, so if you see here, this is the console output. If you see, it's started by the user Monkin Cloud. Basically, that is the user, and it is going to unpack all the dependencies and everything. So let's wait for it to complete. So if you want to check, if you go back to the same here, if you see here, we have the build stage, which is getting viewed here. you will have different stages. Whatever the stages that we discussed, it will be available here for you to check. If you see here, clean workspace is done. Okay, now git checkout is also done. Now we are in SonarQube analysis state. It is going to analyze it. So let's check the build logs. If you see here, it is going to fetch it. Okay, and if you see the Starbucks, it is scanning the SonarQube. Okay, if you see here, SonarQube started its check, and now it is going to do npm install, and it is doing that. So if you want to do, check this in parallel, let's open this in the other section so that it will be clear to you. If you see, SonarQube analysis is done, quality gate is done. Now it is installing npm dependencies. That is what we saw. The npm install was running. So if you see here, npm install is running now. So let's wait for that to complete and see what we have next. Now if you see, AWS FS scan is going on. Basically all the files that are present inside this repository, all the records will be tested. It will go one by one and check for all the vulnerabilities and everything that is present in this repository. So if you want to view that, let's go to projects. And if you see, automatically Starbucks was created. And if you see, the vulnerability scan, it passed already. There are 26 bugs and there are 0 vulnerabilities, and code smells are 8, and duplication of code is 14.6%. So that should be fine. But if you want to make out more, you can go here and it will give you more detailed view. But this is not a main intention, but we are just following the DevSecOps approach. But if you are from the security background, you can go ahead and analyze the code also, where actually it failed or what are the bugs that are available, and you can send this report to the developers and they will go ahead and check if there are any failures. Okay, so the OSFP FS scan will take a lot of time, because at least it will take 20 to 30 minutes for all the repository files to be scanned. So we can wait until then, and we will come back once this stage is complete, and we will see what next. If you see here, it downloaded 10,000 records, and it's out of 2,62,886. So it is 4%, and then 8% done, next 11% done. So it you need to complete 100%, only then it will go to the next stage. So let's wait until that. Right. If you see here, it has downloaded, the SonarQube has downloaded approx 2,50,000 out of 2,62,000 odd, records. So it has completed 95%. So we need to wait for another 5% to complete. So I think that's going to take another 1 or 2 minutes for it to complete. So if you see the stages here, it has almost taken 21 minutes for 29 seconds. So by the time it completes, I think it is going to take more than 25 minutes, I think so. So basically this will give you the clear understanding, right? If you see here, it is going to download 10,000 every time, which is going to show you in the console output. If you see here, right now it is at 2,60,000. So 99% of the files are downloaded and it is being analyzed. So this takes a time. If you see here, this has completed processing 100%, and then it has gone and mentions about dependency check and what is it doing and everything, right? So this stage is complete, but it takes time to be reflected on the Jenkins stage itself. If you see here, it still says in progress. Once this completes everything, it completes the CV analyzer and CPE analyzer and everything, the stage in the Jenkins will actually change. Till then, it will go ahead and check all the things in if the everything is in place or not. If you see here, it is doing the same, and it has started the analysis. It is going to show you finished file name, file analyzer, and then it will check for the modules where the node module is present, and then it is going to check for node module, node.js package analyzer. Then it is going to check for the dependency merging analyzer, hint analyzer, version filter analyzer, cp index, cp analyzer, false positive analyzer, finished. It goes and checks all the things that are basically available. So that is why it is going to take a lot of time when in the Jenkins stage. So this is actually the stage which takes more time. So I recommend you to test it once, and if there is any failure, and if you build the same project again, it is not going to take the same amount of time it takes when you build it for the very first time, because in the very first time it is going to install and download everything that is required from the repository, but the next builds it will be very quick. Okay, so let's wait for this stage to complete. I think this is still analyzing, and we will come back once the OWASP FS scan is done. The next stage, I think it would be Trivy file scanner. So it is going to scan it. Let's go and check it in the repository here. If you see here, Trivy file scan will be done in few seconds. Then it is going to go with a Docker build image stage. Then it is going to push it to the Docker Hub repository, and then it is going to use a Docker Scout and then deploy the container itself. So let's see what is happening here, and let's come back once the OSWSP file scan is done. The next stage would be the Trivy file scan. So let's wait for this to complete. Okay, if you see here, I think it has completed, the dependency check is completed, the Sonar scanner report has been published, and then if you see here, it is now running Trivy file scan. So let's go to the stage and see. If you see here, OWASP FS scan has completed with 25 minutes. Now Trivy file scan is happening. It actually took 21 seconds, which is less than 1 minute. So that should be good. Now the stage is in the Docker build stage. So it is going to build the image and it is going to push it in the next stage. So let's see the logs in parallel. If you see here, this is the file scan report. So let's scroll down. We will actually see the report itself, if it is good or not. If you see here, 100% of it is completed, and basically whenever the build is succeeded or it fails, you will also get the Trivy file scan report attached to your email address. So let's wait for that. And if you see here, now it is now executing docker build -t starbucks dot. Basically it is going to build the image in the same repository or in the same working directory. And if you see here, it has copied or downloaded the Docker file that we had, and it has completed that. It has run npm install, and then it is going to run npm start. So everything is done. If you see here, copying the file, that is stage 5, and then it is using a docker login -u, and then it is going to fetch the image and everything. So it is going to push the image there. So login has succeeded. So this is, if you remember, we provided the Docker Hub credential in our file. So in our credentials, so that it is using the same here, and then it is going to tag the image Starbucks, and then it is going to push it. So I think the Docker Hub, the image is already pushed to repositories. So let's go ahead and check it here. If you see here, I only have one image right now. Let me go ahead and refresh the page. If you see here, there was a one commit 1 minute ago, and that is a Starbucks. If you see here, it was just pushed, and if you see here, it was used docker push. And if you want to use this one, you can go ahead and docker pull it. Okay, so let me go back to my repository here. If you see here, it is downloading the Docker client, and now it is scouting for the image, Docker scout view among in cloud. So now it is sorting the image for indexing. So let's wait for that. Now if you see the actual stage, If you see here, we have done this, tag and push is done. Now Docker Scout image is in progress. So this will take a minute or two to complete. So let's wait for that to complete. If you see here, image scout is completed, indexing is completed, and base image was auto detected. All the things. Oh, this is the base image, and what is the base image that it is going to use, and was there any dependencies, or was there any critical severity or vulnerability, or what is the fixed version? Everything it is going to give you. If you see here, this is a complete report of the Docker Scout. Okay, so if you want to send it to your security team or the development team, based on that you can share this report with them, and then the pipeline itself. If you see here, an email was sent to me, and a docker run -d command was also run. A container was also created, and after that an email to my email address was sent, and the build is successful. So let's go ahead and see if we have received any email. So let me refresh the page once. I'm not sure if I provided the right email address, but let me check here once. So everything is running. So let's go ahead and copy the public IP of the instance, and as you already know, the application is running on port 3000. Let me hit enter, and you should be able to see the Starbucks application up and running. Okay, so if you see here, this is a beautiful website. All credits to the developer who developed it. I'm not the developer. I'm just going to show you how to deploy this application with the DevSecOps approach. And you can see the SonarQube results here, and how much time it took. All the things you will be seeing here. Okay, and if you see here, an email was sent, but I did not receive it, but maybe it should be there in any spam or something. I'm not sure, but it is where it is. It should be present. Okay, I think it is going to be present sometime later, but I'm not sure. Let me come back once that is there. But nevertheless, our actual goal was to deploy the application, and that is done. But if you I'm sure that you are going to receive an email, but if you do not get it, please make sure to copy the code that I have provided in the GitHub and use it, so that you won't face any issues like this. Okay, so that's all I had for this video. Once you're done with the video, go ahead and delete the EC2 instance, and that will delete all the things for you. Okay, so if you're liking the content that I'm creating, please consider subscribing, and also share it with your friends who are willing to build this project. And if you build this project, please make sure to tag us on socials. We are available as Amankin Cloud on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure to tag us so that it will motivate us to know that someone is building the project that we created, and that will help us to build more projects like this. Thank you for watching. Until next time, see you.